Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Uh, I want to say thank you again for the 400 subscribers. There's over 400. Uh, this video, I want to discuss different kinds of shelters with you, and I will do videos later of how to construct different kinds of structures and different things like that, to where it'll give you an idea and a visual picture of how to do these things. First, remember, your home is the number one structure. Everything you need is right there. Food, you may have to, do something different with water, but, if something happens, like, if it goes grid down or crap hits the fan or whatever, hey, stick out drain, plug in your bathtub and fill it up. Because that's, a couple 100 gallon of water. Any jugs you have, anything like that, catch that water. But I would do practice things like at night when it's dark. See if you can walk through your house one side to the other without stumping your toe or, falling over something. Because, you may need to get across from your house one end to the other. You know your house better than anybody. And I mean, most of these houses today are built pretty good. I don't know, I'd have somebody to like block my windows. If you had I know it's gonna sound crazy, but like some wrought iron. Remember they used to put the old wrought iron over the windows at stores and stuff. If you could afford to do that over your windows, man, that'd be good. Put a piece of plywood or something over them, but and try to defend your home and make it to where when you are driven out of your house, whoever's doing it is regretting it. But I always think of your house as first the shelter, because it may be, and if it's like me and a friend discussed this, you can take and, like, let's say in my bedroom, I could put the mattress and stuff off the bed, lay the bed up against the wall, and put a tent in there. Use your home as the first line against winter. Then put you a tent in there. Slide your mattress in there if your tent's big enough. And if it's not, I would put the tent right on top of the mattress to get you up off the floor. And that way, you'd be a little bit warmer. And then you can pile clothes, towels, whatever you have to, in there to keep yourself warm. But the house would break a lot of the temperature off of you, because if you ever come into a house, it's always a little bit warmer. And if you can leave the windows where the sun can shine through them, that would help heat the house during the day. But a wood stove, man, that works miracles. It really heats your house. Uh, you might just want enough to keep maybe a room or two going. Just consolidate down. But think of your house as your first and number one shelter. And if it does come up that you have to leave it, okay, my second choice would be, if you got a vehicle that you can access, take that vehicle, put as much supplies, much stuff in there as you have to, and hit the road, or hit the woods, wherever. Just try your best to get summers, but use your vehicle as your shelter. And remember, you can't live in that vehicle forever. So you'll need your supplies. Have a bug out bag. Uh, have a bunch of stuff that you could use: food, water, everything like that. In that car, and that way, if you do have to bolt, you can. And I'll be honest with you, if it's to the point that people drove me out of my house, because the crap hit the fan, okay, if I have to leave this hill I live on, I hope you ain't in the driveway. I'll put it that way. Because, like I said in our previous video, I've got an idea about how to make this pickup of mine, a crap hit the fan vehicle, where you'd stay in the camper part and have all your supplies and stuff in there. And I'm sorry, uh, you could use your vehicle and stuff like that. And if you got a good 4-wheel drive vehicle, man, you can get way up in the woods summers where it take people a couple of days to get to you or whatever. Throw you some good. They sell that camo netting down there at the Army Surplus store. I'd look at it and have me some of it wadded up in one of them, summers where you could throw it over your vehicle and make it a lot less obvious, and people might walk by. If you was off the beaten trail up the woods without seeing it, or you could, hang it up off the trees and stuff to kind of make it blend in better. Thirdly, if it was me, I would hunt me. Okay, I know a tarp is the simplest thing, and they're lightweight, stuff like that. But you give a tarp 3 or 4 months out in the weather, it's done. It ain't gonna last that long, even if you get a good quality tarp. So if it was me, I would look into like a roll of rubber material, some kind of something like that. And, it's going to add an extra pound or two to your pack, but, it's going to last a lot longer than what the tarps would. So, I would do, like, let's say you're wanting to build a shelter and, you don't, okay, I hear people say, I'm going to build me a cabin up in the woods. Okay, if it's to that point, in my notion, you would want to make the least imprint you could, stay low, have your stuff hid, and not draw attention to yourself. So I would look at it and say, okay, I'm 6'2". Okay, so I'd want at least an 8-foot shelter. And the reason that is, I could put my supplies and stuff back in there and keep them dry. I would do a very low tarp, have it very low where, if I could just kind of slide back in it and stay dry. And you could always, let's say if it comes up a couple of days of rain, raise it up with a stick and, bring your sides in and raise it up where you could at least sit up. But, I would still, if I could keep it low as possible, pile brush and stuff on top of it, which we'll do that type of shelter too. And, I would do me a thing where if you had a bunch of cordage and stuff, I'd make me a door like thing that I could flip up on it and make it look like just a big pile of brush laying there. And that way nobody'd pay me no attention. They just go on about their way. If you're going to take a tent, I recommend, every tent you see is big bright blue or, tan or red or something. Well, somebody will spot your tent way off. And then they got the advantage because they can hide behind a tree and scope out what you're doing. Okay, so if you're going to have a colored tent, I would at least get something, camo tarp or, that netting like I was talking about to throw over top of it. And that way, it would at least help conceal you. Then put little tree branches and, stuff all over it to help conceal you as much as possible. Another thing, if you have to leave your home, definitely hunt out where there's a water source and where there's food that you can get. Okay, I'm not talking about robbing your neighbors and stuff like that, but hey, if you have to, I'm not saying going in, rob and kill there. I know. If your neighbors run to somewhere else and they leave food behind, I would definitely go in and, try to scavenge on stuff like that. But, if you have to, let's say, hit the woods, try to find a place that's got a spring or, a trickle of water coming down. And where there's some, game animals where you might be able to, hunt something. But then you need to hunt a location to where, you're not sticking out in the big wide open. I see people like building theirs out in the field, and they got all this equipment stuff laid out. Well, that'd be as wrong as you could do it, because anybody comes by is gonna say, "Look over there, they must have stuff we need," and then then you got a problem. Another shelter that we call a stump shelter. Where a tree blowed over and all the root ball piles up. You got that big root ball stand up, and then you got this dip where the root ball come out of, and usually it's on a hill. Well, you can take and start cutting sticks and laying them up from the ground up across that root ball till you get to a door, like a little door. Okay, you can pull your rubber over that, put a bunch of leaves and stuff over it. You can store all your stuff in there. But you can go outside if it's good and dry and rake leaves down in there, to make it real nice and padded. Put your equipment in the back of it. You could always throw leaves over it if you had to go out. But then you can make you a door that, would, like if this is the shelter here, and we got to stop here for a door so you can lay it back, I would make the shelter, when it come up, it would lay over the top. And that way you'd be waterproofed on both, on the sides. And another thing, dig a ditch around your shelter. And that way when your shelter's shedding water, it don't come back underneath it. It's got a way to get out there. There's debris shelters where you take and tie a log or whatever from tree to tree, put big stuff on it, smaller stuff, and then leaves and stuff. But if you do like pine boughs or something, I always put the bigger part of the pine bough up and the smaller part down and start at the ground. And if you think you have enough, you need to put twice that much, because it'll lay in there like this, and then it should run from piece to piece to piece down to the ground. You'll still have a little bit of wetness unless you have a tarp or something, to put over all of it. But you can do the big logs, like do the tree from tree to tree, lay the big stuff in there. And if you've got a tarp or a rubber, blank, we'll call it rubber tarp or whatever, lay that in there, and then lay the small stuff on it to help hold it, then throw leaves and stuff up on it to help hide it. And, you could be laying in here if it's raining and have all the other. And you could always take and, let's say it's laying like this. If you got enough tarp, put it like that to where it makes you a little porch. Then at night, you could drop it down and make it to where, it's laying like this. And it comes down almost to the ground if you can do that. And that would even kind of conceal you more. If you got children and stuff, man, I feel sorry for you, because it's going to be rough. Nuzzle them in, keep them as quiet as possible. And, if you have to hit the woods, teach them everything you can teach them. And, there's hundreds of shelters. Anything that you take a blanket, like you sleep under, a sheet. If you get it in there and you stretch that thing as tight as you can stretch it up to down, it will shed water for so long. It's not going to last forever, and you probably will end up getting wet. But look into, if you're gonna get tarps, man, hunt you a camo tarp. Hunt you a good sized camo tarp. And that way, if you have to make a shelter, you can. But make it as structurally strong as you can also. At night, you'll hear noises, and a mouse this long moving through the brush and stuff sounds like a grizzly bear, coming to get you. And, it'll make you feel better if you've got a good, strong built shelter. I'm going to put shelter as probably the number 2 or 3. If it was me, I'd go in, I'd be hunting a water source, because you have to have water. Okay, then I would focus on my shelter, because I would have food in one of my bags to do for a couple of days at least. And then when I got my shelter constructed, then I would start looking at foraging, so forth. But shelter to me would be your number 2. And I'll tell you right now, I've lived it, buddy. you don't know how cold is. If you get to go in the house at night, and I see people, that's out at night, they got big, thick insulation stuff like that on. Okay, when you don't have that stuff, man, it's miserable. And that's another thing. If I was doing a bug out bag, where if I was gonna, hit the road and try to get up in the woods or something, hey, I would definitely throw some good insulated coveralls, a coat, gloves, big hat, stuff like that, because they help a lot. And that makes it to where if your shelter isn't that strong, that stuff will help keep you warm. If you can find a lot of rocks and there's not, let's say, you're up in the woods and you just come upon a big rock ledge or something sticking out, you can always box that in. But be careful, because sometimes when you heat that rock above you, it'll fall, and you don't want that. And if you're getting under a rock ledge, if it's me, I'd try to put me a post or three in under it and wedge it up tight to help hold that roof up. And I'd put my fire outside of it, but where it could radiate heat into it. And then I would box it up, and then to kind of make a just drive. Let's say it'd be 4 sticks, 2 back here, 2 up here, and make it big enough that your fire won't set this wood on fire. I'd drive in 4 sticks in the ground, and I'd put me some sticks up on the sides, pretty good sized sticks on the side. And that way it cuts down the visibility of your fire, because once you get out there, you can see a fire for miles at night. I mean, it's like a flashlight, man. And that tells everybody, okay, there's somebody right over there. They don't know if you have anything or not, but there's a good possibility they can come and see what you have. But if it's me, I wouldn't hunt a low spot. I'd hunt me like a higher up spot where it's got a decent little flat spot, then drainage. And then I would make it to where my shelter flowed with the land, and that way it wouldn't stick out so bad, and you could insulate it and stuff. And you might want to do a little belly in there, so you can put in a lot of pine boughs or leaves or whatever you get in there to get you up off the ground. Then you could have that, just where it's off your back, let's say that much. Remember, your body produces so much heat. But if you've got let's say a shelter big as this room, this is a 10 by 12 room, well, your body heat ain't doing no good. But if you get it down to where, let's say the top of it's, I don't know, 2 or 3 feet tall, and it goes down, and you get back underneath there, and it's, let's say it's 4 foot wide, 3 foot tall at the highest point, your body heat kind of gets held in there. And, if you look at a squirrel's nest, you can stake and stuff leaves and stuff, put your gear in there, stuff leaves and stuff on the sides of you to help insulate you this way. You got leaves under insulating you this way, leaves and stuff insulating you this way. And next thing you know, you got a pretty warm little shelter that, you might not need as much fire with. But, you need to figure out, if you're right in downtown, the middle of, let's say Atlanta or New York or whatever. Okay, the first thing you need to do is figure out, what do I need to take with me? And as soon as any kind of disaster starts, that this is a permanent, crap has hit the fan, I would put my backpack on. I would, look at my security measures as far as what do I have to protect myself with. And then, I would have it mapped out. Okay, I need to be here. This is the safest place I can be outside of this town. Because there will be people gang up, go door to door, try to rob people and stuff like that. Now, here where I live, it's not as likely. It's going to take years for them to come out here. And by the time you do that, we'll be prepared. We'll be ready to, if we have to go hand to hand, man to man, that's what we'll do. But, remember, people, your home is your number one security, because, it's where you've lived all this time. You may all have to live in one room at night, and make one big bed, like, your wife, your kids, to, share body heat, put a pile of blankets on you and stuff to keep you warm. Because when I was growing up, now they had a wood stove, but it was in the living room, and our bedroom was not. You had to go through the kitchen over into our bedroom, and trust me, it was not warm. But you could put 2 or 3 quilts under you, then you put 2 or 3 quilts over you, a blanket or whatever. You get down in that bed, man, it was nice. And, you might have to throw it up over your head to keep your head warm, but you get in there and get warm. Well, in the morning, you know just how warm you was when you throw them covers back and you thought for sure you was going to lose your breath. That's another thing. I always have some, quilts, covers, something. And, if you have to get out, that, you try to have some of those with you, because, man, they make a difference. And, I wouldn't leave my house unless I had to. I mean, and it's going to be bad if I have to. But then it's going to be my vehicle that's just in this order. If I get to that vehicle, I'm going to put it up on a ridge summers, way off more than I am now. Okay, then I will try to survive, with that vehicle. And with that camper, see, now here's another thing you need to think on. If you're going to do a camper like I am, the water runs off that camper. If you got a buddy that does gutter work, hey, you can take and put that up in the top of that camper and wire it in. If you get into a crap hits the fan situation, you can stick that up at the camper and let that be a water catchment where you can catch water right there at your shelter. Then if that fails, I'd have me a hidey hole summers, where if I had to abandon my vehicle, I could see my vehicle. I'd keep an eye on it, but where you wouldn't be able to see me. And, I would try to defend it to the best of my abilities. But there is a ton of ways to build shelters. But, if you don't know how, look for a small tent. Don't go and buy that. Oh, this is 21 room tent. That's entirely too big for, the crap hit the fan. You take, if it's you and let's say your wife, or, you and maybe a buddy had to run. One of them little small 2-man tents, they're only about 3 feet high or so. They're 3, maybe 4 foot wide. They're not a big tent. Okay, you start with that, and then, you can make your shelter a little bit bigger as you go. And, just remember tarps. I've got some out over here on lumber piles. And the reason I put them on lumber piles is to shed the water. Okay, the sun has destroyed them. I've got some out here on water barrels. About a year through the weather is all tarp's going to last. Okay, and that's something you do need to take consideration is, what do you do afterward? Because if that tarp rots, you're going to get wet. A rubber membrane, something like that will last longer. So that might be something you take in consideration. But I don't know what else to tell you. Look, we'll go through the ideas of the different kinds of shelters. I'm going to go up here and, someday and, I'm going to show you different kinds of shelters you can build. And it may be in the next couple of days. I'm still on working my blood pressure. Today it's doing real good. It's a little low, but, when you swap blood pressure medicines, it does that. But today it's running about 119 over, 72 to, 76, which to me is great. A little while ago it got down to about 52, but now it's back up. So I'm just regulating it and monitoring it. But that's another thing. If you decide that you got to leave your house, man, if you got medications, you better take them with you. Because, you won't have no access to come back and get them more than likely. And another thing on these shelters, I'll tell you something else. Take and leave a note at the end of your driveway that says, hey, Melissa, we've been overrun. They've stole everything from the house. We're going to Aunt Sue's. Well, it don't matter if you know who Melissa is or an Aunt Sue. You know, they see that sign, they're saying, well, he's done telling somebody or she's telling somebody they done been robbed and you know, lost everything. There ain't much you need to go up there. And you know, another thing is, you know, there's some gruesome signs that says you might not want to come up this way. And you know, it could be a number of ways to do that, but that's part of security. And we're going to talk about that maybe tomorrow. But remember, food, water, shelter, and security. And now with me, fire, you need a way to make a fire and a way to have a fire if you need it. That falls under all of it. You know, you got to have a way to cook. Fire has to be a way to cook. Water, you got to have a fire, know to boil water and stuff like that to make it where it's safe to drink. Shelter, it falls under, you know, keeping you warm. So, you know, fire is a very big deal. And, you know, you can look at ferro rods, there's matches, there's lighters. To me, I go and buy big lighters. I probably have, well, here in the winter, like when I had a wood stove, I'd go and buy one of them big old, they're that big bricks of big lighters because I had boys and they smoked. And some of the neighbors' kids smoked. Not kids, but, you know, teenagers. And man, they'd have to get a lighter every time we come by. Next thing you know, I was out of lighters. But you know, lighters is my number one. Man, that's just simple. Two, you can look into ferro rods and stuff like that, but you would want a way to have a fire. Even with security, you know, if you can't see, you build up a fire, it keeps animals away. Well, I'm gonna jump off here. I hope this is, you know, interested you and it helps you. But it would be nothing wrong with checking out where you think you would want to go if the crap did hit the fan. You know, where would I go? How would I get there and stuff like that? It sounds like a tractor and trailer pulling up my driveway. I don't know what it is. But let me jump off here. I'll let you go. Y'all have a good day. Have a blessed day. And, you know, be good to each other. And we'll see you on the next video.